Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. I am glad to have everybody on board for Family and Friends Day, yet another week. Thank y'all for joining us. I'm Bryson Clark, your gracious host. This time around, we have the most talented, very informative, very educated Miss Nia Ridgle of Ridgle Consulting, the founder and owner of Ridgle Consulting, licensed mental health therapist. Going to be an awesome discussion that we're going to have today. We're just going to jump right into it. I want to see how you're doing, Miss Ridgle. How's everything
Uh,
going?
sorry. So the week for me, I'm just getting my Instagram started here. I apologize. So the
No
week for
worries.
me is going awesome. I'm excited to be here. And just be alive, right? Celebrating just life.
That's true.
So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially during this time. How have you been biding your time in the whole shutdown and the quarantine?
I'm the busiest I've ever been. Honestly, I am the busiest I've ever been because mental health is at the forefront, and those who have resources are using them, but they're not just coming in for like just regular sociological issues or, just symptom management or stress management. They're coming in for like real stuff. I was just telling a friend that I do about 3 to 4 safety plans around suicide a week since
Mm,
quarantine has happened. Like suicide is at an all-time high right now, and people are just out there with ends on both ends. Though it's not just I, the thing about COVID-19 and quarantine for me is what and this is just a sidebar in addition to what we're talking about today. The thing that I feel that I think is the takeaway message is always like Black people are disadvantaged. Black people are suffering. Look at the Black people. Um, but everybody's suffering. And that's not to take away from Black people and their suffering. It's not. But everybody's suffering in their own way. I just don't want it to be a Black story
mm, mm.
for me. So that's just what on the mental health side, I have seen that it's not a colorism thing or racism thing. It's a human, everybody's suffering at some level thing.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, this is something that's affecting everybody, and it goes to that old saying, when I guess mainstream America gets a cold, Black America gets the flu, instead of
Right,
that whole metaphor. But
right.
at the end of the day, it's still affecting everybody, and
Everybody's being affected.
for sure. And if we can backtrack a little bit, I mean, everybody would love to know more about you. There've been a lot of questions being asked about the interview today, and I mean, let's start with who is Miss Nia Ridgle, and what got you going.
Oh, that's a great question. Who is Miss Nia Ridge? I like the sound of that. I can get used to that. Thank you. Miss Nia Ridge. Okay. Who is Miss Nia Ridge? Miss Nia Ridge is a front runner for mental health. I am all about destigmatizing, living a healthy lifestyle, and educating as many people as I possibly can in that purpose, in this movement, and I'm passionate about it. I am a Bay Area native. I went to school in Sacramento for my bachelor's and my master's degree, and then I relocated back to the Bay Area because I just felt like I wanted to give what I had received back to my community, and I'm really passionate about spreading that knowledge. And who have involved since I've moved back to the Bay Area is I've been really, pushing an initiative around mental health, really making mental health. This is gonna sound crazy because we think of mental health, you don't think of being sexy, right? So I want mental health to be sexy. I want mental health because sex sells, right? I want mental health to be something that people talk about at their kitchen table every day and they don't ignore what they're feeling for the sake of showing up healthy. So
Mhm.
I am doing a lot in the community in the Bay Area, expanding in different places, speaking about mental health on various platforms, just like this one. Thank you for inviting me. And so, in a nutshell, on top of me being an amazing mother and friend and sister, that's me.
Hey, wonderful.
I'm not getting any feed from you. Yeah, it's not me.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. There's always this stigma about us, not going to get help. And hey, if you're going through something, suck it up, deal with it. And we internalize so many triggers and so much trauma over time, and that contributes to a lot of the health problems we have and a lot of the crazy behaviors too.
Yeah, I mean, to say lightly, crazy behaviors, right? It's just all about being sick.
Yeah, it's about being sick. It's a sickness.
Living with sickness.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and I mean, what were some things that kind of veered you in the direction of the mental health field?
I didn't, you know what? It's crazy when people ask me how did I get into the mental health field. I didn't. Mental health kept following me, and it was like, hey, we have this opportunity for you. Hey, we need you to come do this. Hey, do this class. Hey, this professor is going to befriend you and talk to you about it. So, on a personal side, mental health has been something generational that my family has suffered from or struggled with. Us, what I would reframe that word. But it was, when I went to school, mental health was, they knew this was coming, basically. Mm-hmm. They knew that mental health was something that was going to start coming from the forefront, and they were getting ahead of it. When I got into the mental health, I did a mental health stipend at Tech State for my master's. They were just happy to see a Black person. Mm-hmm. Like, I think in my cohort, it was like 5 or 6 of us. Wow. In the mental health profession, it's now 4%. And that just happened in the past year. Where I work at Kaiser Permanente, there's almost 1%. So just think about those numbers. So, yeah, this is calling.
that was the main word that came to my mind. That's your calling. If it finds you, and that's crazy that there's such a we're so outnumbered like that in the mental health field. I know there's people, celebrities like Charlamagne the God. He's a huge advocate for mental health, and I mean, I can see why, especially in the culture and in hip hop and things like that. But man, I did not know those stats were that low.
Yeah, it's extremely low because I think it's not easy to become a licensed therapist. My whole trajectory from my bachelor's to when I actually got licensed took about 7 years. Mm. And it's because you have to do 3 years of post-grad, and that's dedicating at least 3,200 hours to getting trained in the field. Mm. So people don't want to do that because the pay is terrible. You're eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Sacrifices.
For a long time. Sacrifices, yeah.
It really paid off. What do you say as far as, I know we talked a little bit before the show, and you're really talking about the 4 elements of mental or just wellness in general.
Yeah, so the 4 elements that a human being needs to feel accomplished in their life is, 1, you need spirituality, right? A sound in mind in your spirituality. And people think spirituality and religion are the same thing, but it's not. Spirituality is whoever you claim your higher power to be, that you have a healthy connection with that spiritual being, right? That's what spirituality is. We're not talking about religion when we talk about that. The second one is your physical and mental well-being, right? That's the second one. So we have spirituality, physical, and mental well-being. And then the next one is love and intimacy, right? And then the last one is financial freedom. If a person can acquire or obtain all those 4 key areas in their life, then they would have lived a full life.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
And that goes into being balanced. And because a lot of times if you're lacking in just one or two things, particularly like finances or something, or your mindset, it affects everything else in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And I know one thing I want you to share with everybody, what you were sharing with me about the psychology behind the stimulus payment during this time too,
Um,
as it ties into.
yeah, so I'm today on this, we're talking about specifically mental health and COVID, right? We're talking around the benefits and the disadvantages of living in COVID. One of the disadvantages of living, well, let me talk about one of the benefits of COVID. Some of the benefits of COVID particularly is that we're evolving from this, right? And that we have the opportunity to create new ways of articulating ourselves in society, that has no direct connection to past experiences. So for the first time in history, we are experiencing, well, not for the first time, because we've had similar pandemics to this, but in our lifetime, in our parents' lifetime, in our parents' lifetime, they have not had a COVID-19 experience, right? So what COVID-19 is doing is that it's laying a foundation of creativity and really putting a reset on generations. Now, what we were talking about before, and the flip side of that, which is, well, what does that mean for if you're the negative side of that, right? Because I see that as a positive. If you can reestablish yourself, however, if you lost that job, you're able to get a new one, right? If you're realizing that the neighborhood you live in is a low economical place that doesn't have resources, that's a place to look at. There's opportunities for growth. And so if that's the positive side, but the negative side to COVID-19 is that domestic violence is going up, right? Child abuse under the age of 4 has gone up. Job loss is massive. And just positioning yourself in those places of poverty, you don't have means of access to get resources. So, going to the grocery store or getting the things you need can be difficult to a person who's living in a disadvantaged place.
Right.
So we talked about the stimulus check and what that meant for people a disadvantage. And when I'm talking about this, I'm solely talking about the mental health aspect of it. I'm not talking about the political side of it. I'm not talking about the societal side of it. I'm specifically talking about the mental health side of COVID-19 in relation to this new stimulus check.
Yes.
So in addition to studying mental health, I also study neurolinguistics. So neurolinguistics is basically subliminal messaging. And what this year, if you qualify for a stimulus check, the guidelines to getting a stimulus check said, you don't make a certain amount of money to qualify for a person who is basically stable, right? And well off or well off. Mm-hmm. Now, if you qualify for the stimulus check, it's telling you that you live above a poverty level that warrants the government to step in and support you, right? Mm-hmm. And like I said, we're not talking about the political or the sociological factors behind this. We're talking about the mental health piece of it.
Right.
If you got the stimulus check, what that is mentally and emotionally affirming in you is that you're not enough, and that you live in poverty, and that you are literally celebrating lack. You are celebrating lack. So people who are getting this check and think they're at an advantage, what they're saying to themselves, if we're worried about just the mental health piece, is that I'm excited that I live in lack. The idea and the mindset behind living in lack and needing support does not warrant success. It's
Right.
actually opposite of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's keeping generations in poverty
Mm-hmm.
because of one check.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like it creates this anticipation for people who are disadvantaged. They're thinking in their minds subliminally, like, okay, if this is what I'm getting this time for being at this level, maybe if I just stay at that level, I'll get more rewards and things like that.
It's not and it's not a forward moving thought process. You know, if you're celebrating living in poverty, then you're going to celebrate living in poverty.
Right.
You're going to live in poverty. You're going to be telling yourself that living in poverty subconsciously, and we're worried, and I'm solely focused on how we're affirming ourselves.
Right.
And so children need to be nurtured in 3 ways. They need to be seen, heard, and affirmed, right?
Mm-hmm.
This stimulus check is a subliminal affirmation celebrating poverty, celebrating lack. And who's celebrating that? The Black community.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Disadvantaged people. It's keeping the who's have celebrating the fact that they don't got to deal with that, right? And the burden of feeling some type of emotional connection to people going through that is sufficed because of a check. So what they're saying is, y'all got a stimulus check, so it ain't that bad.
You know, Nia, I liken it to the, like I said, I'm not here to talk about the financial side, but more of the mental side as well. But I liken it to the plantation celebrations. It was that thing where, you know, we would technically work 6 days a week, 5 to 6 days a week. And Friday and Saturday nights, they let us get drunk, dance and everything, and, you know, get ready for church Sunday morning. But that was it. Like they wanted us to celebrate, but we were still in a plantation.
Yeah.
And it's the same analogy in today's time.
It is. And we are talking about the mental health piece because finances is attached to your mental well-being first. And people of color don't think that, they just think that you come into money because of you have an advantage or you got a good job. Well, there has to be some type of mental stability and growth for you to even get in that space. And even if you get in that space for whatever reason, you know, if you're coming from poverty, you're combating years of negative self-talk and affirmations that have been subliminally and upfront put in your face. So we cannot talk about mental health without talking about the financial piece associated with COVID-19. Now, to get more in depth about like the mental well-being part of it, people are learning themselves inside and out during COVID, because what COVID's doing is keeping you in a space where you can't hide from your instability, right? So people hide from their instability at work. People hide from their instability with sending their kids to school because they don't have to parent 24 hours a day, right? They get a break, right? People were hiding their instability from having to be away a lot. Like, so if you're a person that travels for work, you're going a lot, right? And so it's a lot of different things that it's bringing up instability in the home. And the COVID-19, it has nothing to do with quarantine. Yes, quarantine is to help us with our health benefits, but COVID-19 is a mental and emotional, like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a spotlight, mental and emotional well-being spotlight. So if you're a person that was in a relationship that was struggling prior to COVID-19, and there was some abusive tendencies behind that, and abuse is not just physical, it can be emotional and mental, that abuser has nowhere to go. So you stuck with an abuser in your house, and how abusive people deal with crisis is that they want to control things. And so if you are living with a person who is emotionally, mentally, or physically abusive, they can't control their environment. So it's going to heighten their ways of being abusive, and they're going to find things because they don't know how to emotionally regulate their emotions, right? A lot of it is because there's no labels for it. You know, a lot of people that I work with in my practice, like literally I have to print out a list of feelings I created and give it to them and ask them, which feeling are you feeling right now? Because they don't know. That's how disconnected we are from our emotions and our feelings. People are right around experiencing all these emotions and all these feelings and don't got labels for it. But they're going to gravitate to what they know. And what they know is this person is irritating me. This person is making me angry. This person is doing this to me on purpose. And so their body is going to go in natural reaction mode. And if that hard drive is toxic, right, then they're going to go to what they know.
Yeah. It's comfortability, just going to what you know, resorting back to just normal habits.
Yeah, just normal habits. But right now there's no escaping. You can't say, like, even people who are not considered, like before this was not considered to be a person that's an abuser, if they don't have the emotional intelligence to express themselves, that way of that expression, that self-expression has to come out somewhere. And so you may well start becoming an aggressive person during COVID-19 and be surprised that you are.
And yeah, and to that, Nia, another thing that's interesting about this whole situation is that a lot of outlets have been taken away.
Yes.
The gyms are closed. They're limiting, people walking on the park, the beach, and those traditionally have been places where you could actually get away and clear your head for a minute and just kind of reflect. And with those being taken away, I feel like that.
I'm here.
Yeah, we lost connection.
Okay. I can't hear you. I think it's your end.
I was mute. Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Basically, I was just saying our outlets have been taken away. The gym's closed, the park is closed, and I feel like that's really adding to a lot of the pressure. That's not making things any better, for sure.
No, especially with depression right now, it's at an all-time high too, because there's a lot of grief and loss associated with COVID-19. And we don't really, if you're a person that doesn't handle stress well, your body is going to naturally, because you are feeling stress, it's going to kick into depression, because anxiety and depression are all signs of your body telling you that something isn't right. So your mind and your body are two different entities that work together, right? What mental health comes in at is when one entity is either working too hard or one entity is not working enough, right? It's unstable. And so where depression kicks in at is because the stress or the displeasing nature is so high that in order for your body to physically stay alive, it has to tire you down because you're overworking yourself mentally. So it's going to make you lay down, make you fatigued, make you disorganized in your thoughts, because it's trying to tell you that it's trying to send a message to you that something is wrong, right? And now you need to support yourself around that. Now, anxiety kicks in when you're worried or anxious about something that has not happened, and so your hard drive doesn't have anything to pull from because that event hasn't happened yet. And so it's literally working overtime trying to figure out what's wrong with you, right? The anticipation. And so anytime you find yourself depressed or experiencing anxiety, then there's some internal work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And it's common. Anxiety and depression are common characteristic traits. We all have anxiety and depression. They're natural instincts. Not people just label it because we want to label stuff, but depression and anxiety are natural instincts.
Right, and it's not even about eliminating those issues. It's more about managing, right?
Right, because you can't ever do away with something that's a natural characteristic trait.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, emotional intelligence kicks in. Being mature and being able to be a well-balanced person.
Yeah.
And knowing when that thing is coming. I know you, especially, you have a special place in your heart for the wellness and the mental health of Black men. And I noticed that you have created a platform for brothers to come and really get things off their chest and work through a lot of issues. And that's your Restoring the King event, right?
Yeah, so we started King. So we started off doing it at Kingston 11 in Oakland every Sunday, every third Sunday of the month. But when COVID happened, we moved it to that platform to online. So now we do it every Sunday because the need is greater. And so what Restoring the King is, it's a group, a private group for men of color, so Black and brown men, to come and really have a safe space to decompress, get mental health support, build community amongst men of color that are healthy, gain insight from me, who is a licensed clinician, and we get meal. We used to get meals, used to eat as a community, but now it's more so like a meeting place for men. And I think that why I created the event, because I feel that men don't have enough outlets to express themselves. And we live in a society that's always condemning the Black man, you know, always condemning men of color. And so, you know, the way we look at success, but the mental and emotional well-being of success, it doesn't breed successful men of color predominantly. So I think a lot of Black men experience things that they've passively aggressed and like disconnected themselves from. But what that does is it doesn't help you move forward, right? Or even if you're achieving something, you still have this undertone, this underlying stigma associated with your experience of being a human, because there's not a lot of places where a Black man can be human.
That's true. That's true. Especially human and vulnerable, for sure.
Right.
Like, yeah, if you're considered food in a lot of places. You're either food or you're a monster, depending on the people you're dealing with. And that's I really appreciate that service. That is a tremendous contribution to the community.
Thank you. It's hard to get in there sometimes because they get hyped up that a woman is running it, but I always challenge them with that. You know, if you want to start the group and you want to run it, take it.
Hey,
like
if I have to get on board and help bring some of the brothers in, you know, some of these guys, these men of color coming through, hey, so be it. I'll tell them.
I mean, because you guys need it, and this is just solely like, how many places is there that you can talk?
Not many. Especially places where you can really bare your soul and really get down to the nitty gritty of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it is the nitty gritty of things. Because this is the thing, and this is one of the things, and I'll keep it short, but I want to share this with you because it blew my mind. We had a Restoring the King event. One man referenced it as the desert. And why he referenced it as that, because he was raised by a single mother. She told him, always raised him to be a good father, a good man, right? And so as adult, in his younger years, okay, he's being raised, you know, in a single parent home by a woman. And then he talks about at 13, he was in survival mode, just trying to stay alive. Trying not to die, like basically not trying to get sucked in by some societal black hole. And then he woke up one day and he had a family. But he missed all those pieces. And the only thing that he had to show him how to be a husband and a man was his memory of his mama.
Man. So it was basically him. He had a crash course on how to, run, be a part of the family and how to raise his family up. Man. Yeah,
but the thing is, he brought to us is like the desert is the trial and error, figuring it out. You don't even know what you're doing.
Yeah. And that's something I hear a lot from parents too. I mean, as they said, there's no manual on raising a child. And that's something that definitely is remarkable for them to really figure it out and actually seek out help as well.
Yeah.
Some people don't do that much.
Yeah. And so I just think it's important, as a form of support for Black males that, one, you get seen, heard, and affirmed, right? You get that attention that you need and not feel like it's transactional. And then two, you come and you can be okay with making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Mistakes are part of wisdom.
Yes, because you could pass that along to the next person. Like, hey, I did this. You don't do it.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. And I'm looking forward to being a part of the Restoring Your King events myself.
Thank you. It's such a safe space. It's not even funny. Like, that's why I think it's good that a woman runs it, because like, y'all need that.
Yeah, I think it's a breath of fresh air that there's a woman who actually cares about our well-being mentally and spiritually and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely a breath of fresh air, and y'all have a calming effect on us anyway. So
good, and I teach them love is not transactional. Mm-hmm. If a person cares about your well-being and they just want to see you do good, just say thank you. Leave all the other stuff behind. Just say thank you. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being a support. I'm coming every Sunday because I just want to get something for free. Fine. Come on. That's what it's about.
Absolutely. Yeah. I didn't want to keep everybody long because I don't want to give everybody spoilers to what you do. And I know you want to get back to your time and everything, but
yeah,
I do want you to promote everything that you have, anything you have going on, and let people know where they can find you and your work.
Well, if they are looking for a licensed therapist of color, they definitely can go to my website, ridgleconsulting.com. I am doing free mental health consults for anyone who may be in some trouble and needs some support just on the spot, and they don't not really necessarily needing a therapist, but that is a service I'm providing to the community during COVID for free. Or if they're looking for a therapist, they can find me on Therapy for Black Girls. They can find me on Psychology Today, and they can go to my website too. I am doing, I have some freebies on my website. So one of them is about emotional regulation. Mm-hmm. So if you're having troubles with, expressing themselves or conflict management, there's a whole workbook on there for free, and they can just download that. And it's such a great support. And it can be something that's a tool that's used for the whole family.
All right. Yeah, I have it. I will be providing all that information for everybody as well. So everybody be on the lookout for that.
Yes. Well, I appreciate this.
I appreciate you, Nia. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right.
Have a great day.
All right.
Bye.